Yo, what is up, YouTube? It's your boy Armand, back for E equals MCU with the WandaVision episode 4 review. And wow, this episode, we're gonna get into this. So here we go, episode 4 review. This is basically what happened to Sword during the events and how everything happens, and we get a lot of answers to a lot of questions in this particular episode. Let's start with the opening scene when Monica Rambeau wakes up. First of all, that means Monica Rambeau was blipped, or she was snapped. This was a very powerful scene. This was probably one of the best intro scenes in the MCU as a whole, because the weight that it carries. I mean, there's a couple of things here to identify. Number one, Monica Rambeau was asleep when she was blipped, so she didn't even realize that she had been gone for 5 years. And it's not until she talks to the doctor that she realizes it was 5 years and that her mom had died 3 years prior. So from where she was at in the timeline, with her mom having cancer and saying that she was going to recover, and then her mom, the cancer coming back aggressively, she missed all of that. And it really tugs at the heartstrings. That's really really big for someone to have to hear that news or realize, because you missed a lot of information, and you're getting it dumped on you all at once. So, aside from the fact that there's chaos going on in the hospitals right now because everybody's coming back at the same time, you got people there who wasn't there. And we always had questions about when people blip, like they showed it in Spider-Man Far From Home when the band came back and they were playing the basketball game and they just appeared in the middle of the game. Same thing here. It's like you got people in the same rooms. She bumped into somebody who just appeared out of nowhere because that's where he was at. So we always had questions about how that would kind of affect or happen. So it was kind of nice to get another piece of that just for the MCU overall. That scene was very powerful. And then going from there and then seeing, her try to go back to work at Sword, and her badge doesn't work because she's been gone 5 years. And if you look at the Sword lobby, it's kind of funny because it looks just like the Shield lobby from Captain America Winter Soldier and from Agents of Shield. So that was a nice little, you see the symmetry there. From what they're saying in the show, it appears that her mother, Maria Rambeau, founded Sword, so she built it from the ground up. The guy that's the acting, he's the acting chairman or person in charge of Sword, is a new character altogether. I think he was created just for the situation and for the show. I do believe that Nick Fury actually would be the one that would be the head of it right now, but as you also remember, he and Maria Hill were also snapped or blipped. So it makes sense where they're going with this. Now we can tell from the start of this that this takes place approximately about 3 weeks after the snap. So that kind of gives you a timeline for when WandaVision is taking place. They set everything up with the dialogue. They kind of get you caught up, let you know what's going on, ties it in very well. So let's get to the next part of the scene where you see Monica's being not demoted but sent to Westview because they're having trouble. He said the FBI is all in a frenzy about, all in a tizzy about a missing persons. Now the question is, who is the missing person? Because they refer to him as him, and my guess would probably be Ralph, because Ralph isn't on the radar. And that's just a theory of mine going further as to why Ralph is there. Missing persons, the whole thing about Ralph possibly being Mephisto. That's for another video. But he's missing. This is the reason why Monica Rambeau gets there. They try to set it up and explain it as to give her the reason why she's there, so that you understand why she had to go there. So she goes there. She meets Agent Jimmy Woo, who's still with the FBI at this time. And I thought it was kind of funny. The first scene he pops up, he does the card trick, that throwback to Ant-Man, when he pulls out his card to tell her who he is. And he goes to the police, and I think this is an interesting scene because he goes to the police and he says, you know, tell her what you told me. And the police are saying Westview doesn't exist. And then he says, well, where are you from? And he says Eastview. I thought that was a kind of a weird scene, because now I'm questioning with those police officers, were they already just brainwashed? You know, because you know, there's an exit when she's leaving there that says Westview, and then you get to the town and it says Westview. So was Eastview turned into Westview, or is there no such thing as Eastview or Westview? Because they were technically sheriffs of Westview. So I don't know if they were in on it, like they part of the defense mechanism to keep people out, and that's the reason why. Still some questions there. You can tell the creators of this try to set this up to give you the questions, and then they try to pay it off. It's being done in a kind of a different format for a Marvel show, but they're really raising the bar just for how they're going to be able to get content out. And I think most people, you can kind of see what Feige was saying when he was talking about the opportunity that Disney Plus provides for them for storytelling, because they really do some really, really different and even darker things, even for like a, you know, Disney Plus, and it's like a mixture here. So you kind of see what's going on. But in that scene, they send the drone. They needed the drone that looks like a helicopter, basically. The drone goes through and disappears, and that was the noise that you heard back in episode 2. And then she finds the helicopter made to look how she wanted it to look. So I thought that was interesting, that the drone was basically the helicopter. Monica Rambeau gets sucked in to the bubble or whatever was around it, which Jimmy Woo points to the fact that, you know, to them, they can see it, but nobody else seems to notice it or see it. How was she able to get in, but he was not? And he said he didn't think it wanted him to be able to get in. So there's some more explanation that they have to do as far as that part of it, as to why she was able to get sucked in and he was not. But she does have her shield laminate on and stuff, so that's the reason why when she went in there and her clothes changed, she still had the shield necklace, because you look at what she had on when she went in there. So that's how she had to dress. Now the whole thing about this is when we get to the part where Darcy's introduced, she really brings a breath of fresh air to the show. She's a little off kilter from the other characters and the acting and everything. She's definitely doing kind of what she did in Thor and Thor 2, but it really is kind of refreshing. She hasn't been around in a while, and the levity she brings to it, you know, it's almost like this is a very meta thing, and it's like they are explaining what you're thinking as the audience as it's happening. So I thought that was kind of cool. She was the one at the end of episode 1 that was watching the show and everything, and had it figured out that they were actually broadcasting a TV show. So it lets you know, and you can kind of see the whole thing where the people that are stuck inside of there are actors. Now, there was a clip that I showed in my last video that gets explained here in this episode, as when they're doing the recon, they're trying to find out who these people are. They actually get the information on Mr. and Mrs. Hart and Norm and a couple other characters from the first episode, and they're going through it and they're identifying them, but they could not identify Agnes. And that, I think that is very important, because at the end of the last episode, when she was telling Herb and telling Vision about, you know, Monica wasn't supposed to be there, it kind of plays differently now. Like, you can see the fear in her, and you see why, because we now know that this is all Wanda's control. But I feel like Wanda is being controlled, and I think that Agnes still has something to do with this. So I'm still on the train that Agnes, you know, her pushing for the children in this whole thing, and then Mephisto and or Grim Reaper or whoever the main villain is that's actually controlling Wanda, Wanda wants to be in this reality and in this world, but she is obviously being influenced, and I think you can tell that from the episodes. So, but I thought Darcy Lewis, her interactions were funny. Like when she was in the truck and talking about how they were all a circus, and she asked the guy what he did, and he wouldn't tell her, and she called him a Boy Scout. And then after everybody else answers what they do, he comes back and tells her, and she was like, yeah, nobody cares. That was pretty funny. And then the fact that she was trying to get coffee the whole time, nobody would ever give her coffee. She had some moments here. Like, she's really, I think her role in this whole show is the audience. She's basically the audience, and she's trying to figure it out. So the information that they had on the board at the FBI station about, the hexagon and all of that, they were still trying to figure it out. They don't know. It's kind of old for us because we've been trying to figure it out for weeks. But yeah, the hexagon probably has to do with hex magic. It's going to be my guess. And I still think it may have a tie-in to AIM, because of AIM being in Ant-Man and the Wasp and Ant-Man, and you got Jimmy Woo there. There may be some play on that. I know another interesting scene was when so Monica Rambeau gets sucked in. They send in a guy in a hazmat suit because of the radiation and everything, and he's underground, and Jimmy Woo's saying, like, what makes you think the perimeter doesn't go underground as well? They don't know. They figure it out. This guy ends up being the beekeeper. He ends up getting through the tunnel and comes up out of the tunnel, and that's what you see there with Wanda at the end of episode 2 when she says no. Now, they replay that scene, and it's done from the beekeeper's perspective, and it was a little different. Like, when she says no, it wasn't quite the same. I think that has to do with the takes. And kind of follow me on this theory here. When they're monitoring these shows and they're watching the show, like, for us as the audience, we get to watch one show per decade, and that's kind of how it's being broadcasted. I think there's actually more shows, almost like even like a season within that decade, that they're not showing, because there's footage that they showed of Monica when she first got in there being an extra and being in the background, and then Darcy makes the joke about her getting upgraded to lines by the second episode. Is kind of hilarious, but that scene that they had showed her in the TV screen was never in any of the episodes. So I think there's more that's being broadcasted than they're showing us, but for sake of moving the story along so that they can get to how this is going to conclude, they're not giving us all that information. So just keep that in mind. Now, the beekeeper guy, there's been connections all throughout, and there was interviews that were doing last week with the creators, and they tried to avoid answering this, but there are a couple actors on here who were on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and there's been a number of tie-ins to Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and the fact that they wouldn't answer it kind of leads me to believe that there's going to be some sort of connection here with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. So we got to stay tuned for that. It's going to unfold, but wow, you know what I mean? Like, if they actually go back and are able to tie all of this in, this is going to get really crazy. All right, so we get the scene that we saw in the last episodes. She's having the twins, and you see Jimmy Woo and Darcy Lewis actually watching it like a show, and they're all invested and crying and everything. So, I mean, I thought that was hilarious to me. Those two actors, I think you see the purpose that they're playing here. But in the TV part that they were watching, it does not show what happened to Monica Rambeau, aka Geraldine, in that scene. It just kind of flipped to the end where she's holding the babies. So that kind of lets you know within the control of, like, some of the things that was happening with the rewinding and everything, and how this is broadcasted. I think the play on words of WandaVision shows you that this is Wanda. It's a three-way thing. It's Wanda and it's Vision, and then it's WandaVision because it's Wanda Television, and it's being broadcasted like a television show. In which case, I think that the people trapped in there, who we still don't know, what their deal is, but I think they know that they're actors in a show, in a sense, because of the 50s, 60s, 70s aesthetic and all of that. And then the third part of that, the title of WandaVision is, I think it's Wanda's vision, because in this episode you see that she's in control. She wants to be there. Like, she has the powers to warp reality, and that's what she's doing, whether it's consciously or subconsciously. So we finally get to see the scene where she actually ejects Geraldine out of the world because of the mention of Ultron, which made her kind of pop out of it. That leads me to believe that the people who are in this and that know that they're trapped and know that they're actors in this, they don't really have control over themselves as far as what they're saying or doing. It's almost like she's controlling them, and then by her mentioning Ultron and popping her out because she knows of the Avengers because of Captain Marvel, she kind of made Wanda pop out of it. And then there's that scene at the end where Wanda's kind of popping out of it, and Vision walks in, and they do the scene from the last episode, but when she sees him at first, he's still the dead corpse from Avengers Infinity War. And that's just the sight. And I wish I could get a screen grab to, I'm sure you saw the episode, but just get a screen grab so you could see it. Like, man, that was really dark and really chilling. And that part of it is what excites me about what's to come, because Wanda's going full on villain. It looks like she's going to kind of turn into the villain. I don't know if she's going to be the villain of Doctor Strange 2 or if he's going to save her or what's going to happen, but it's getting dark, and it's getting dark really quick. As Black Widow would say, the sun is getting low, and it's about to hit the fan. So, you got to sit back and you just got to enjoy the ride. I want to tell people that because the first couple of episodes and what they're doing here is so different. It's rubbing people the wrong way. You just have to sit back and enjoy the ride. We got 3 more episodes upcoming, from the looks of it, where we're going to get the 80s, 90s, and current. And there's a new promo out showing her doing the whole Modern Family talking to the camera sitcom aspect that they're going to be doing on one of the later episodes. So that's coming. That episode is going to be crazy, just for the simple fact that's going to be meta within meta within meta, for the simple fact that she's going to be talking to the camera and probably spilling beans about them being on a show, which is kind of meta, but it's also going to be giving us information as to what's going on. So I can't wait for that particular one. I believe the next episode is going to be the Trick or Treat, the one in the 80s, which I think they said it takes place, or it would be kind of copying what was the TV show? I can't remember. I can't remember now. It wasn't Silver Spoons. It was something else, but it's going to have that look. And then the next one would be the 90s, which would be like Full House, which would be interesting because Elizabeth Olsen, her sisters, Mary-Kate and Ashley, of course, were on Full House. So, but that's what I picked up on it. I'll have to do a breakdown later if I catch any more Easter eggs, but that's what I got on it right now. So let me know down in the comment section what you noticed, what you saw, what I may have missed, what I got wrong, what you think I got wrong. I'm here for all of it. So leave a comment in the comment section. Still doing the Funko Pop giveaway, but you have to make sure you like, share, subscribe, and comment on it. We're slowly crawling to 100 followers. So once we get to 100 subscribers, that will be going into effect, and I will be naming them. So, but that's it. That's all I got for this week, man. Hope you guys enjoyed the show, and I'm out.